This week I'm stepping aboard fellow Oneworld airline Oman Air to experience their long-haul business class cabin on a flight from Muscat International Airport to Paris Charles de Gaulle, and it might just feature the biggest bed I've ever had on a plane. So how does Oman Air's business class actually deliver, and is this enormous bed one of the best in the skies? Let's get on board and find out. Good morning and a warm welcome to this week's video, and it comes to you from Muscat International Airport here in the Sultanate of Oman. Now, I've been here for just over 24 hours. I've had a fantastic time. I really have been well looked after. When the taxi driver gives you a box of dates when you get out of the cab, well, I say a box, it was more a glass platter of dates. You know you're probably going to be in for a good time. But today we're flying back to Paris Charles de Gaulle with the national flag carrier of Oman, Oman Air, and we're doing it in business class on their Boeing 787-9 Dreamliner. Excuse the noise, but the airfield is literally just to the left of me. So looking forward to this one, really looking forward to flying Oman Air. It's been long on my list, and now it's part of the Oneworld Alliance. Making reward bookings on it is really simple. You can do it from the BA website, from the Qatar website, so on, so forth. So let's get inside, review Oman Air's business class product, back to Paris Charles de Gaulle. When flying first or business class, there's a dedicated departures entrance on the far right that leads directly into the terminal. Oman Air uses check-in desks C and D, and I was amused to discover that even here I'm not safe from the familiar sights of Cafe Nero and WH Smith. It seems the Western High Street staples are just as popular in Oman as they are back home. However, Oman Air also operates a completely separate business class check-in wing just off to the right. I was escorted inside, and it's an incredibly private space. In fact, I had the entire area to myself. It feels more like a quiet lounge than a check-in hall, with small seating areas dotted around whilst you wait, and each passenger being assigned their own dedicated counter, making the process calm, personal, and a fantastic way to begin any business class journey. So we just completed the check-in formalities here at the business and first class wing in Muscat International Airport. Now this one's just purely if you're flying Oman Air, and then there's a separate wing to the left. So simple, really simple process. Got the boarding pass, we're good to go. So now I'm going to put the camera away because I'm about to go through immigration and through security, and then we'll pop up the other side, go up to level 1 and try and find the Oman Air lounge. Now, I must admit, Muscat is a very modern airport with lots of facilities, including a national museum inside. It's also beautifully lit and designed. I was very impressed. So we've just jumped into the lift to go up to the Oman Air lounge, which is located on level 5 here at Muscat International Airport, and I must admit, this is a beautiful airport. I don't think I've ever walked into an airport that smells so good. On level 5 you can find the Air Hotel, a huge hotel inside the terminal if you're transiting, not to mention the huge duty-free options available on the ground floor. But my destination was the Oman Air Business Class Lounge, which is located off to the right, and what a facade! Business class tickets gain you automatic entry, as does the Oneworld Sapphire and Emerald frequent flyer status too. Inside you're greeted with a huge model of Oman Air's flagship 787-9 Dreamliner, which is looked over by Sultan Qaboos bin Zayed Al Sayed and Sultan Hitham bin Tariq Al Sayed. You'll see a lounge layout map as you enter, and I note that this particular lounge has won the Apex World Class Award. There's also a layout of Arabic coffee and delicious Omani dates. Yes, I did sample 2 or 3, and to the right of this is a stand of various publications and magazines for you to either peruse in the lounge or take on board the aircraft with you. The lounge is separated into lots of different areas, all with thoughtful design touches like this. There's relaxed areas with hidden in-seat power in the drawer areas, alongside this more formal restaurant dining area. There's family-style seating too, and these relaxation suites at the back of the lounge with leather recliners and floor-to-ceiling curtains.
Well, I'd be lying if I had said I wasn't impressed. I mean, I've never seen so much gold, so much oud, so much incense. It is a really beautifully designed lounge. It just seems to go on for absolutely ever. I've just been walking round and round, really taking it all in, but a couple of areas are closed at the moment. The spa and wellness rooms are closed and the restaurant's closed. The bar's also not serving any alcohol at the moment because it's the month of Ramadan. Totally fine with that. I think I drank enough on that Qatar flight. If you haven't seen that video, the Q Suite Light review from Copenhagen to Doha, I'll give that a watch. I'll pop a link up top. But I'm going to get settled and then grab some food and a little drink and take in the sights of Oman's airport.
There's great views of the airfield, alongside this cigar lounge too, which is essentially just a hot box for smokers. Get me out of here. In the buffet area, there's an automated coffee machine, teas from Twinings, alongside the usual accompaniments including this Omani honey. This was really, really good. There was also Karak chai and Omani coffee on offer too, alongside Tamra dates and a fridge full of canned sodas and still water. On the food front, there was these fresh fruit bowls with mint, Greek yogurt with fruit, Bircher muesli, and these fruit trifles, or truffles as Oman Air call them. There's fresh fruit pastries and a hot bread cabinet with croissants and Arabic styles. Cornflakes were on offer too, alongside mozzarella and basil pesto pots, stuffed vine leaves, and this beautifully coloured saffron labneh. Fresh fruit was available in the most lavish fruit basket I think I've ever seen, and then hot food options consisted of eggs and grilled chicken skewers, Belgian waffles with cinnamon butter and berry coulis, and also a range of Arabic sweets, a variety of cookies, and a coffee shop too, serving up all your barista favourites.
Well, I've decided to take a seat and chill out. That's your Oman Air lounge tour for sure. I've got myself a lovely cup of Omani coffee, which is going down really well. It's almost spicy and kind of floral in nature. It's a really tasty coffee, but free-flowing dates in a lounge, that is how you get my heart. So well done, Oman Air. I love the dates, and I did go for the fruit truffle. I'm pretty convinced they mean trifle, but fruit truffle nonetheless. So I've got about 3 hours to go now before my flight on the 787-9 across to Paris Charles de Gaulle this afternoon. I came here deliberately early just to do the lounge tour, but also to relax. It's been a pretty, busy few days for me filming, and I want to talk about the pricing really of this flight, because in my mind it's not a bad price at all. So I did a reward booking. Oman Air became part of Oneworld last year, the Oneworld Alliance, which means you can now book reward tickets using Avios points through the British Airways Club portal, which is what I use to book my reward tickets when I'm doing a Oneworld booking. And it was 68,500 Avios, which isn't too bad for business class one way, and £72.90 in tax. Praise be for the low taxes and fees. So I think this one's a pretty decent steal. Seat selection on board was complimentary. All your luggage is included in that as well. It's treated as a full business class fare, and of course you get access to the lounge. So in my opinion, not a bad price at all. So I'm going to kick back, relax for the next few hours, and then we'll go down to the gate when it's time and join that Boeing 787-9 Dreamliner across to Paris Charles de Gaulle.
The lounge also has an outside terrace, but sadly this was closed for maintenance. Avgeeks fear not though, you can still grab some great shots from inside the lounge. The toilets were very well designed and very clean too, with fresh orchids and cotton hand towels. I then enjoyed a latte when the staff told me the restaurant would be starting its lunch service. On offer was further breads including focaccia, Arabic flatbreads and baguettes, a fresh salad with 2 types of dressing, further freshly prepared salad items, a beetroot and feta cheese salad, this looked lovely, a healthy prawn salad, it certainly looked healthy with its peppers and pickled onions, a chickpea and bean salad with fresh kidney beans, a wonderfully fresh and vibrant tabbouleh, and of course the humble Omani hummus, a staple of any Middle Eastern country. Hot food saw poached salmon in lemon and tomato, chicken Kiev, broccoli and garlic alongside roast potatoes too, and finally a tomato and cheese pasta bake. There was also a Moroccan-inspired harira soup which smelt divine, alongside desserts which included a red velvet cake or traditional Omani lukimat. There was also fresh orange and watermelon juice on offer too.
Now, admittedly, I did say earlier I'd been on the go for quite some time and was typing away, doing some work, and slowly drifting off in the buffet kind of area of the lounge. So one of the fabulous representatives here of the Oman Air lounge came over and said, would you like me to prepare a private room for you? Exceptional service. I am shattered. My one concern about using a private room is, of course, drifting off and missing my flight. And she said you don't need to worry about that. So on the outside they put your flight details, the time of your departure, and said if you do fall asleep and don't come out the cabana before your flight departs, we will come wake you up and we can escort you down to the flight to make sure you don't miss it. That's what I call exceptionally good service. So if you don't mind me, I'm going to get very comfortable and enjoy a bit of downtime in the lounge. This really is the best part of flying business class.
The private rooms all have widescreen televisions and are of course all air conditioned. There's a snack basket with chips Oman, still and sparkling Perrier water and a variety of sodas too, and they all feature this chaise longue style chair with luxury Oman Air blanket. I did a bit of work, as you know, and then yep, you guessed it, I fell asleep.
Well, all good things must come to an end. I have had a wonderful little snooze in this cabana, and it's time to get down to the gate as our flight boards in the next 20 minutes back to Paris. So I'm going to freshen up quickly, and then let's get down to the gate to board that Boeing 787-9. So, gates announced, we're off to A9, and then we're going to jump on this flight back to Paris. So, everything's pretty much easy to find in Oman's airport, Muscat Airport. It's really central, and it's just got kind of different corridors going off to A gates, B gates, C gates. Really easy to navigate, to be fair. So, just having a slow stroll down to gate A9 to board this flight back to Paris.
At first, we were held in this queue and then scanned our boarding passes and undertook passport checks before heading down the escalator to the waiting lounge. As we descended, I got a great look at our aircraft flying us all the way back to Paris today, and I do still marvel at the Dreamliner. I think it looks a pretty cool aircraft. Today we're aboard A40-SI, a 7-year-old Boeing 787-9 Dreamliner, which was delivered to Oman Air back in 2019. As the crew boarded and did their checks, we then got the nod to head on down and board the aircraft. Oman Air's business class is in a 2-2-2 formation, and here's my seat, 15A.
So here we are, welcome to Oman Air's business class on the 787-9 Dreamliner. Just boarded, was the first person on the aircraft actually. They call business class down first with priority boarding and then economy class afterwards. So that's nice to see that they, give you priority boarding when you fly Oman Air in their business class. But my initial impressions are, well, I've never had 4 windows to myself. There is one behind me and then 3 towards the left. So initial impressions, pretty good. It's super spacious seat. I've had some spacious seats in my time, but this one feels really spacious. Now, I think the only negative, and it's not a negative, this is a great seat if you're flying in a couple. If my husband was to the right of me, brilliant seat. But if you're flying by yourself, it can feel a little impersonal at first. But the big caveat to that is there is a privacy divider, so that will go up later in the flight, which will create a bit more, sort of your own personal space. But initial impressions, pretty good. The crew have been really friendly, really helpful. So let me get settled in and I'll give you a full seat tour, as always.
Now, I have to say, this seat is beautifully designed. It's very wide and has this diamond pattern. It's also set slightly ahead of the B seat, which is the aisle seat, but the centre seats are all parallel, just something to bear in mind if you're travelling by yourself. On my seat is a very large and soft pillow and an Oman Air branded blanket. On the footstool is a dining menu and Oman Air mattress topper, which stored perfectly in my own personal overhead compartment. The headrest is leather with a fabric cover, and the footwell has ample space to store your shoes too. The IFE is 17 inches in size and comes with a personal remote to the right of the suite, allowing you to control it from there. There's the privacy divider that I mentioned earlier, but you can't put this up until you're airborne, and above the suite is overhead reading lights, but no air vents. The controls for the seat are on the left armrest, and the windows, all 4 of them, are controlled and dimmable via this button. To the right of the suite is a bottle of still water and a pair of noise-cancelling headphones. There's also a safety card and literature pocket too. There's 2 USB ports and a headphone jack as well, with AC power located underneath, and behind your seat is a reading light too. I was then presented with a hot towel and a glass of Oman Air's signature lemon and mint juice. This was divine. I wish we had this back home. As I looked out the window, it was time to go, and we started our pushback, during which I was served Arabic coffee and fresh dates. What a way to depart.
So we are up in the climb out of Muscat, a really nice smooth climb up and a beautiful blue sky and a gorgeous sea. The sun was just shimmering across the sea. Really nice departure that, and we're just actually passing back the airport now as we speak. So the service will start shortly, we're told. It's all dine on demand, choose any dish when you want. So I'm going to take a good look at the menu and see what I fancy. So you know me, I'm in my favourite position, that kind of cradling position. I've got the massage function on, so the business class seat on the 787-9 has a built-in massage feature, and it's a bit like one of those inflatable pillows that keeps inflating and deflating and changing position. It's actually really quite nice, and I didn't actually know what it did at first, but yeah, really nice. So I'm basically getting a lower back massage. My feet are semi-reclined up, and I am insanely comfortable right now. And yes, there's a couple of noticeable dings and upholstery issues here and there, but that hasn't for 1 second taken away from the comfort of this seat. My initial impressions are this is going to be a really relaxing journey over to Paris. So I'm just giving the menu a read, and there's some really good dishes on there. There's a modern European set which you can have, if you're into sort of Western classics, and there's also a second, more traditional Arabic set, which I'm hoping to go for. Now I am on the last row 15 of business class. This is the semi-private cabin, which just has 8 suites across, sorry. 6 suites across. I can't even count today. I've not had any alcohol either, so I can't blame it on that. There's 2, 2 and 2. And then there's 14 rows in front of me in the main cabin. So we'll see what happens and see which way the service starts. If I'm on the last row and they start at row 1, then chance they may have run out of something. But let's see how the crew handle that and what's on offer when they get to me. So just pop that privacy divider up this I was telling you about earlier, which separates the 2 suites. And like I say, if you're travelling together, husband and wife, or in my case, husband and husband, it's a fantastic seat for kind of communication. Some of these modern business class and first class suites aren't necessarily tailored to the modern couple. They're kind of tailored to individuals, which they serve 90% of the time. But when you're travelling with somebody, it's nice to be able to have a conversation with them without cricking your neck. So this certainly ticks the boxes if you're travelling, on a honeymoon or just travelling as a couple and want to sit close to each other and be able to chat to each other. I think the gentleman to the right of me is very happy that I've put it up. We've been laughing and joking, but I think he's happy that that divider's gone up. Doesn't want to stare at my face and my random talking to a camera for the next 7 hours and 20 minutes, which is the flight time over to Paris. So it's given me some peace and quiet, and certainly him some peace and quiet as well. So on the dining front, the wonderful cabin attendant has just come around, Mohammed, and I said, what do you recommend? And I was told you I was already going towards that Omani cuisine, the set Omani Arabic experience over the modern European. Then he sort of smiled and said, if you've never had Omani food before, you really should try it. And I absolutely agree with him. Who would fly Oman Air and eat a king prawn dish or a chicken roulade, etc.? So there is 4 options for the starter. I've gone for the lamb sambusa, and that's coming with coconut mint chutney, very similar to a samosa, he said. Looking forward to trying that one. Then on the second course, he said running out of one of the 2 dishes, and the one that we're running out of is the one that I wanted, which was the makbous dijaj. Apologies if I pronounced that wrong. And that's a chicken dish, an oven roasted chicken dish with spiced rice and a kasumba salad. Really, really sounds great. But that's the one they're running out of. So he said he's going to try his best and see, if they've got enough. If not, the manshab is the backup plan, which sounds just as good. It just wouldn't have been my first choice, but it still sounds great. And that's a cinnamon spiced sea bass in a coconut broth with fava beans, rice, and a cumin tomato. That sounds delicious. So that's what I've gone for. Let's see what arrives. He did say if you don't want to dine now, you can dine later in the flight. It's completely up to you. It is a fully dine-on-demand service, and you can pick and choose what you have. He asked me if I wanted to order dessert now, and I was humming and ahhing, and I said, what would you recommend? And he said, have you tried the masoob? And the masoob is a banana date pudding with almond, mascarpone, and honey. And I said, you know what? Those are all my favourite words, so let's tick it. So we've got the lamb sambusa with coconut mint chutney to start, possibly the makbous dijaj, which is the oven roasted chicken dish for the second course. If not, it's the manshab, that's that cinnamon spiced sea bass in coconut curry, and the masoob, the banana date pudding with vanilla, mascarpone, almonds and honey for dessert. I am in. Very impressive menu, by the way, Oman Air. Some fantastic dishes on here, and I love the dine on demand, any dish, anytime concept. That is really nice, because sometimes you can eat in the lounge, you don't feel like eating when you're on board. So the opportunity to choose and tailor what you eat and when you eat it is, something that all airlines should be offering, certainly in the premium cabins. So I'm going to sit back. I've got a lemon and mint juice on the way. In fact, I can see it coming now, so I will wrap this up. Let's get started, and I'll review the full experience as each dish arrives at my business class table. The service began with another helping of the lemon and mint juice and a selection of almonds, pistachios and cashews. There's also no denying we're in oil country with these huge offshore rigs visible even from cruising altitude. Whilst I enjoyed the start of service, I thought it'd be a good idea to look into the IFE, and whilst there's some great film and television options available, both the interface and remote operate with quite a bit of lag.
You do have to press very firmly or scroll very firmly in order to obtain your selection, and eventually, and I mean eventually, this will replicate on the IFE screen ahead of you. The noise cancelling headphones were quite average too, not a great deal of noise cancelling going on, but they were certainly better quality than the usual economy headphone options for sure. And after this quick IFE tour, it was time for the service to begin. The crew laid down this lovely white patterned tablecloth, I really like the design of this, and a flurry of items were quickly delivered in rapid succession. There was warm Arabic flatbreads, labneh with coriander and pomegranate, and this beetroot and pepper salad. I also loved the chinaware with this mountainous design, and these lovely little salt and pepper pots too, a great addition to the service flow. Next up came the lamb sambusa with the coconut chutney and the paplo Omani fish soup. What an incredible spread! And yes, we're just still on the starters.
Well, roll me over, I'm done. That's the starters down. Yes, you heard me correctly, plural. I just assumed you got one starter, but actually you get the lot. Mohammed has delivered everything to my table, and it was sensational. So we had that labneh with the fresh coriander and the pomegranate. It was delicious, and I combined that with those Arabic breads and the wonderful roast beetroot capsicum salad, the pepper salad. Delicious, beautiful, just really, really fresh and vibrant and tasty. Then came the lamb sambusa, which is what I thought I ordered, and I just thought you got the lamb sambusa, and that came with the coconut mint chutney, beautiful crisp pastry parcel filled with Arabic lamb, beautiful Omani cuisine. And finally the paplo Omani fish soup came. That was with the line caught fish, tomato turmeric and the lime and the rice, and again sensationally good soup. In fact, it was so good I sauced the table. It really was exceptionally tasty. This is not a negative when I say it. The portion sizes are huge. That was like a full main course service that you would get with other airlines. So props to Oman Air for the servicing. I don't know if this must just be a Middle Eastern thing, because Qatar, in that previous Q-Suite video I did from Copenhagen to Doha the week before last, sorry. Really large portions as well. So it must be a, Middle Eastern Gulf thing where you are fed well. And fed well I am indeed. So coming up next, I'm not too sure. No more word from the crew about whether my first choice was available. And my first choice was that Makbus Diaj, the oven roasted chicken dish. If not, it's going to be the sea bass, the manshab sea bass. So let's wait and see what turns up. And the main course is on its way shortly. So Mohammed just walked over to my suite with a smile on his face as he was carrying a plate, and he said, "Look, I've got you your selection. I've got you that oven roasted chicken, that Makbus Dijaj," and it was sensationally good. It really, really was a tasty, tasty dish. Everything about it ticked every box. It was sweet, it was salty, it was really, really bitter from that wonderful baked lemon. I mean, it literally just scraped off out of its skin. It was delicious. It was spicy. It just had everything going for it. It really was a wonderful, wonderful dish. So much so, there's nothing left. So, absolute props to Mohammed for recommending that. It was delicious. Now, I've seen somebody else in the seat opposite have, not the gentleman next to me in the aisle, have the sea bass. Not only does it look good, the smell in this cabin is incredible. It really does smell fantastic. But yeah, that one was a really memorable dish. And sometimes you have these mains and they're tasty, but they don't necessarily linger with you. But I think that's going to be one of those dishes that I think about for quite some time, because it really was good. And rice, chicken, a lot of things can go wrong. Rice can be clumpy, overdone. Chicken certainly can be overdone. But the chicken just flaked away, and the rice was, pillow-like, super soft. So good job, Oman Air. That was a really memorable main course. service done. That was Masoub, the banana date cake pudding with the vanilla mascarpone, the almonds and the honey, and it was really tasty. I wouldn't say it's the best dessert I've ever had in the sky, but it was really, really good. Just the right amount of sweetness. Sometimes these Arabic sweets can be a bit too sweet. And it certainly wasn't stodgy in any way, shape or form, which I was concerned about with there being bananas in it, but it was really, really nice. Like I say, well balanced, a really nice end to a fantastic meal service. So well done, Oman Air, and a big thanks to Mohammed for recommending all these awesome dishes. He's certainly on his A game today. So I can feel a food coma incoming. I'm going to take a lie down shortly. I'm going to get this seat into fully lie flat bed mode, show you what it looks like as a bed, and tell you how comfortable it is.
First though, a quick toilet review. Now the toilet was semi-spacious but not as large as some business class ones I've seen over the years. There was a drop down seat if you wanted to get changed in here, as well as a bidet system available too. Overall it was very clean with additional service offerings including dental kits and Oman Air branded shaving kits. There was also hand and body lotion and travel mist from luxury Omani perfume brand Amouage.
So just being a good little house guest, I was just about to get into bed, or say get into bed, start making the bed, and Mohammed appeared and said, would you like a nightcap, afternoon cap shall we call it? And I was like, oh, what have you got? And some 10-year-old port. I thought it'd probably go well with some cheese, but I can't eat anything else. There's some sauternes. So I was looking at the menu, my eyes went straight to the sauternes. I was like, you know what, let's do it. So I had a nice little glass of sauternes, just gone down like a treat. Perfect little liquid end to that wonderful meal service. And now I am going to put this seat into fully lie flat bed mode. I promise. I think if ever there was an award for the world's longest bed, Oman Air are probably going to win it. I think you could be 7 foot and sleep in this bed comfortably. It is amazing. So, sauternes is kicking in. The sun is shining bright, a bit too bright actually. Let's get those Dreamliner dimmable windows going. And I'm going to have 40 wings. See you on the other side. Honestly, I've done back-to-back business with the exception of that Salam Air flight last week, and I'm really going to struggle going back to economy. I've really pushed the boat out and treated myself. Also, you'll be very pleased to know I know a couple of you have raised it via email, and a couple of you have raised it via the comments. The husband is totally safe and well, and he will also be getting treated to a fully lie flat business product. Just keep your eyes peeled on the channel, it's coming soon. I promise you he is going to be taken care of, so do not despair. There is no husband neglect going on. But let's talk about this bed then. So it's a really comfortable bed. The width is a winner and the length is a real selling point. It's probably the longest bed in the sky that I've ever flown. In fact, it is. Slight negative, and it's only just a kind of noticeable thing that I've sort of seen whilst I've been sleeping, is this mattress topper is quite thin, so you do feel the bed underneath. But the caveat to that, and it's not a negative really, it's just a kind of observation, the caveat to that is that the seat is really comfortable. It's really springy, really bouncy, so it's got some give, so you don't necessarily feel uncomfortable. But the winner is this absolutely awesome duvet. It's the softest I've ever known. It's so wide, it just goes on for absolutely miles. It spans the full length of the bed, and it's just beautifully soft and really warm. I'd probably say it's maybe 13.5 tog. It is absolutely beautiful. And then finally, you've got this awesome pillow, which is super soft, but it's got
a real level of firmness, which I like in a pillow because it keeps your head supported, so you don't feel like you're just sinking into the seat. So yeah, absolutely beautiful and a great product. I've had a wonderful sleep. So I was just looking actually at the drinks menu. Now I'm not going to have any more alcohol. I've had that sore turns, which was a wonderful little afternoon cab, but no more for me now. But there's some really good options on here. There's lots of teas. There's 9 different teas, from anything like rose and vanilla to Muscat Earl Grey and Moroccan sweet tea, which I've never tried. Loads of fresh juices. Obviously you saw that lemon and mint juice earlier, but there's a fresh Carcadet juice, Carcadet. Not even sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but I've never tried that, so I might give that one a go. And there's also a fresh orange juice available as well, freshly squeezed orange juice, which is awesome. Great attention to detail. Oman Air, and there's 2 coffees on offer as well. There's an illy coffee, which you can have as an espresso, a cappuccino or a mocha. It's also available decaffeinated as well, but you can also have a Colombian filtered coffee, which apparently has medium body, slight sweetness and a clean, crisp finish. Look at me describing coffees like they are wines. I also, for a moment there, sounded like I knew what I was talking about, which I don't. So yeah, fabulous sleep, wonderful product, highly recommend it. When I got into the seat, obviously there was those few little upholstery issues. It doesn't necessarily feel as private as something like the Q Suite Lite. However, it really comes into its own in this bed, just purely for the length. And if my husband was sleeping in this, I know exactly what he'd say. It would probably be the first fully lie-flat bed for him that he's managed to get, awesomely comfortable. Length hasn't been an issue, and he's been able to kick out with even some moving space at the bottom. And he's 6'3", and he would be absolutely fine. There'd still be space at the end. So let's get these windows fully open, and I'm going to order a nice warm beverage or maybe a juice, and I'll come back to you shortly. So, Carcadet juice is fresh hibiscus, apparently, so glad I went for that, because I really wanted to give hibiscus juice a try. I saw it in Doha, but didn't try it, so I thought, let's give it a whirl. And then I went for the Moroccan sweet tea, and that's come with a lovely little biscuit as well. It looks a little like a cantucci or a biscotti, and some sugar on the side. So, what a great way to wake up. The sun is just literally starting to set as I speak, and I've got a fresh hibiscus juice, a Moroccan sweet tea, and I'm still tucked up in bed like the lazy vlogger that I am. Life's tough. So the crew have just come around to remind everybody that the second and final meal service is by request only, so just checking if you'd like it or not, and I have said yes, I'm totally stuffed, but I wouldn't be a very good YouTuber if I didn't show you what the second meal service was. So it's coming up next, it's the afternoon tea set. The crew have recommended that I try it. The menu suggests it has a herb chicken quiche with leek and onion, an assorted selection of reception sandwiches of chicken tikka, beef and caramelised onion and mixed Mediterranean vegetable. Some scones that have dates in with clotted cream and a fig and blueberry confit. Unusual that, because you normally get some sort of jam, so a fig and blueberry confit sounds really cool. And a walnut fudge brownie, which is supposed to be served warm. Drinks wise, I went for the new green smoothie, which the crew laughed at when they suggested it, so I don't know if that was a good laugh, a bad laugh, or somewhere in between, but let's find out what it's like. The afternoon tea set's coming up next. So that's afternoon tea all done and dusted, and a mixed bag, to be honest with you. I'll always be honest with you, and I'll always tell it you straight from the horse's mouth, as we say. Sandwiches were really good, really nice actually. Really delicate, spongy light bread, great fillings. That chicken tikka one especially was really tasty. The quiche looked fantastic, and it was warm. It had been warmed in the oven, but it was just really bland, unfortunately, just really tasteless, and didn't really have much going for it at all. It was just
very eggy, and that was it. And it was supposed to have leeks and onions and a bit of cheese, so it wasn't great. The date scones were really good. I mean, they certainly haven't risen, so come and see me, I'll give you a scone recipe. Get that baking powder in there and they'll rise to the top. But I don't mind a flat scone either, to be fair, or scone. I'm more of a scone guy, but sometimes I say scone. I'm the most confusing person in the world to get along with. The fig and blueberry compote that it came with was exceptionally good. That was really tasty and a real nice welcome change to jam. It was still jam-like in consistency, but much more flavourful and less sweet, more sort of fruity. The clotted cream wasn't clotted cream by any means. It was more a set. Do you remember cream in a can, like squirty cream? It was like that, but set. Still nice, really tasty, but not at all clotted cream, and should never be described as clotted cream. And the brownie and walnut loaf was actually really, really good. Like, super tasty. That was warmed in the oven as well. The scones were warm as well, forgot to say. And that was really nice, light, semi-sweet, and really full of walnuts. You know, they weren't scribbling on the walnuts at all. The juice, I can see why the crew laughed. Absolutely can see why the crew laughed. Is not to my taste at all. It is like something you get on a spa weekend. Not a fan. So I will go back to the lemon and mint juice, I think, prior to landing. And speaking of landing, we've got 1 hour and 10 minutes to go before we touch down into Paris. This has been a really, really nice flight. You know, yes, I'm gonna stick my neck out on the line here and say, you know, sometimes you have a preconceived idea as to what something's going to be like, and Oman Air have exceeded my expectations in just about every single department. The Muscat International Airport lounge, the Oman Air lounge there, was wonderful. The staff have been so friendly. You know how I said earlier there was no bumps. I've now jinxed myself because here they come. And the onboard crew have just been absolutely superb from start to finish. Yes, there's a few little areas for improvement. All airlines have them, even the best ones. But it would never stop me from flying with them, and it would never stop me from actively recommending Oman Air's business class product, because this product I've had today is really nice. That bed is stunning, and you know what? It's been a real pleasure to fly them back to Paris. So, as this turbulence continues, we are getting a bit bumpy now. I'm going to finish off what's left of this afternoon tea. I've got a scone left, and order a new lemon and mint juice, and just sit and watch this glorious sunset sail by. So that's pretty much it for this flight. The lights have just come on. We've had the 30 minutes to landing. In fact, that's just the seatbelt sign coming on as you hear now. So we'll be down in just under 30 minutes, 25 minutes to be precise. For an early arrival, we're going to be 15 minutes early into Charles de Gaulle. We'll be landing at 19:20. So in my book, that's pretty impressive. An on-time performance is good, but an early arrival even better. But it's been really good. It's been a wonderful flight. The crew have been fantastic on board, as well as in the Oman Air lounge back at Muscat International Airport. So yeah, it's been a real blast. I've really enjoyed doing the Middle East content. It's a place I've not really discovered much myself, to be fair. Even as cabin crew, I've done Dubai and a couple of other places, but only stayed the night. So it's been nice travelling around the Middle East and bringing you this content over the past 4 weeks, and I hope you've enjoyed it. And if you do enjoy my content, just a big thank you for watching. But also, if you aren't subscribed, do consider clicking that button, because it costs you nothing, takes seconds, but honestly, I mean this from the bottom of my heart, it really does help the channel. It allows me to grow and others to discover content that they might enjoy too. So a big thank you if you consider doing that. So as we glide into Charles de Gaulle in the evening for an early arrival in Oman Air's business class, I hope you've enjoyed watching, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.
And just like that, we're touching down in Paris after a really solid flight from Oman Air. Now, it wasn't absolutely perfect, the afternoon tea was a little hit and miss, and there were a couple of small upholstery issues around the seat, but honestly, those are pretty minor things in the grand scheme of what was otherwise an excellent experience. The seat is enormous, the cabin feels calm and premium, and the cabin crew were fantastic throughout the flight. Oman Air is one of those airlines that tends to fly a bit under the radar, but if this is the standard they're delivering in business class, then they absolutely deserve more attention. A comfortable seat, a points bargain for sure, great service and a very enjoyable journey across the skies. And yes, this is definitely an airline I'd happily fly again. Now feels like the perfect moment to ask, if you're enjoying the adventures so far, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and come along for the ride with a growing community of fellow travellers.